From the Sunshine State, this is Tampa Bay's 10 Talk.
It's time for FLALAW, brought to you by the personal injury attorneys of Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyes. This hour will be informative, along with taking your questions and comments. Now, here are your hosts for today's show.
Good evening. It is Tuesday at 5 o'clock, and that means we are here live in the WTAN radio studios, here for FLALAW on the radio. We have been presenting this show, this live call-in legal show for, almost 2 years now. And it's really an opportunity for you to ask questions of lawyers that are here free of charge to address any question or talk about any legal issue that you may wish to talk about. My name is Matthew Noyce, and I have my partner Lorrie Robinson here as well with you for the next hour. We are here to talk about our areas of law, which is personal injury. We are both attorneys at the law firm of Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyce, the longest established personal injury law firm in Tampa Bay. We were the first personal injury law firm in Clearwater. We started in 1955 in downtown Clearwater in the fire station, and we are now have been at Sunset Point in Belcher for almost 30 years now. But we have been proudly serving our community since 1955, and for those who don't like math, that's 70 years. And so we are happy to continue to support our community by putting on FLALAW on the radio. Again, I said this is a live call-in show, so please feel free to call us with any questions that you have. There's 3 ways to get in touch with us. One is by the telephone, and by calling 727-441-3000, you'll be able to get your question on the air for Lorrie and I to address. The second way to get to us is through the firm's live Facebook page. It is Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyce Injury Lawyers. Perinick is spelled P-E-R-E-N-I-C-H. And you can just jump right on there. You'll see that we are live right now. Lorrie and I are in the studio right now. And so if you have a comment or a question and you don't want your voice on the radio, just type in the question right in the comments, and I'm looking at the screen right here. We'll be happy to tackle the questions that you have there as well. And there's a third way, and that's our firm's YouTube channel. We are live on YouTube right now as well. Again, that's Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyce Injury Lawyers on the YouTube channel. Ed's on the other side of the glass, and he'll be able to let us know if you have any comments or questions on the YouTube channel as well. So 3 ways to get in touch with us. That is telephone, live Facebook, or live YouTube. So there's no excuse not to get your question asked. We're happy to do it. What we're also going to do at 5:30, I've done this for the last 2 weeks, and I think it's pretty fun to do, I have a little trivia questions. And so
boy.
So Lorrie is going to be the person answering the questions, but unless one of our listeners wants to jump in and participate with Lorrie.
Oh, I could use some help.
Ed's on the other side. I think we'll get Ed to help out a few times doing a few of those questions. But if you want to be part of the Thanksgiving trivia quiz, we're going to do that at 5:30. And so jump on the line now to participate in that Thanksgiving quiz trivia fun that we have.
Trivial Pursuit, right?
That's right. That's
for Thanksgiving.
Right. And if you even get one question right, we'll make sure that we get you one of our Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyce baseball caps that you can enjoy when you're out and about. So before we get started, Lorrie, again, thank you very much for taking time to participate in FLALAW on the radio again. We always have fun doing this together.
We do indeed.
And so why don't you just reintroduce yourself to our listeners and just tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, as I have shared before, I am a Clearwater native. I grew up in Clearwater, actually. I was just visiting.
She was born in Morton Plant Hospital.
Morton Plant Hospital.
Yes.
I was just visiting with a dear friend who's lives in a neighborhood not too far from our radio studio here, and I thought, well, that's a place in Clearwater I actually haven't been, but it was kind of old Clearwater. So I've been a lawyer for actually 46 years. Wow. Amazing. But 27 of those, I'm very happy to say, have been spent at the best place I've ever been a lawyer, and that's Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, Illinois. And I've been working with you more directly for the last 20 some odd years, so it's amazing how the time goes by. But as we've shared before, my forte, I love the trial practice. We all are involved in that, but I was a great fan of Perry Mason, so you have to be kind of old to remember Perry Mason, but he was a very big TV star, TV show in the early 60s and 70s about lawyers. But I think most people really do enjoy legal issues, so I'm a board-certified civil trial lawyer, which along with Brian Caulfield in our office, and that's just a little added distinction based on having tried a large number of civil trials, taken a test, etc. But mostly
she minimizes that. That only 2% of the lawyers in Florida are board certified.
It is something I'm very happy to have been able to attain, and that was because of being a part of our law firm, because we do have an active trial practice, which allowed me to complete the requirements for that some years ago. But what we like to do is to help people, and that is something that I feel very fortunate to be a part of an organization. Our law firm really is kind of an institution, having been established for 70 years.
Right.
So thank you, Guy Perinick and Bob Carroll, coming back in those early years.
It's been wonderful to have you on the team, that's for sure, over the decades.
Yes, right.
And we look for many more decades
that's the plan.
to go. But I do want to jump in before we do the trivia quiz at 5:30. I do want to talk about what's coming up. It's Thanksgiving. Right. Thanksgiving is coming up, and we have so much to be thankful for. I always say that I'm thankful for my family, my friends, and my faith, and really the opportunity to participate and help other people. We have so many good clients that we get to meet, and it's just a wonderful blessing to be able to do that.
And it's something I always say this to clients, and it's very it's kind of tough for people to grapple, because our legal system has so many problems. It has so many problems,
right?
But it's the best in the world.
That's true.
And there's an opportunity to actually at least attempt some effort towards justice, and very often we can certainly help people that exist uniquely in our country. So with all the problems, and there are plenty, and all the difficulties of our system, and we rag on the system a lot, and with good reason, but we still are able to help people, and that's because of all the things we do have to be thankful for, which large part of it is our legal system, our country, that allows us to live out our days with our family and friends like we do.
That's true. And just this morning, I went down to visit one of my friends, a colleague of ours, Dennis Moses. He's been a guest on our show as well. He's a probate attorney down in Largo, and it was really cool to see him. But what's even cooler was I walked in the door, and there his receptionist or front office person was. And that was one of our prior clients from like 15 years ago.
Right.
And so it was great to see Jennifer, and gave her a big hug.
Yes.
And it was just wonderful to see our clients so many years later. I always tell our clients at the end of the case that we hope we never see you again under these circumstances.
But we're still a big family in a certain sense of the word.
Yeah,
right.
Just a few weeks ago, we had our client picnic, and we invite past and present clients. We had about 300 people come to that picnic, and it was just so good because you have an opportunity to see the clients. And I think that's really what Guy and Bob instilled in the legacy of Perinick, Caulfield, Averill, Illinois is that our clients aren't just files. They're not files. They're people that has had something happen to them that has changed their lives. And so it's our role, it's our duty, so to speak, to be a voice for them. And so I'm thankful that we've had that opportunity to do it. And I look forward to many, many more
Yes,
years to do
me
it.
too.
So,
Me too.
But Thanksgiving, really, I want to talk about really 3 days for about Thanksgiving. I didn't even know about the first one, but our legal assistant, Osiris, brought to my attention, says, we should probably talk about Blackout Wednesday. And I said, Blackout Wednesday? What's Blackout Wednesday? But apparently it's a thing. That's what happens when you get old, like me.
Osiris is young in her 20s.
Yes,
right?
she is. Yes, and apparently Blackout Wednesday is tomorrow.
Right, tomorrow's Wednesday, sure.
And it's also known as Drinksgiving. And what happens is that people come down, and they usually it's from the college. Blackout Wednesday evolved into one of the year's heaviest drinking nights.
Wow.
It's stemming from college students and others returning home for Thanksgiving and getting together and socializing with their old friends at bars the night before Thanksgiving.
You can definitely see how that would develop. Kids come home from college to visit.
Yeah. And Osiris made a good point. She said, many of these people are responsible. They don't get behind the wheel and drive. But some of them rent those scooters. You see all over the streets.
Yes, that is something that I think has become so much more prevalent. So I hadn't even thought about people utilizing that, thinking they're doing a safer thing, by not driving. Because, of course, if you've had anything to drink, you don't want to be behind the wheel. Yeah.
Right. But, I mean, even driving a scooter can put you at risk, but also put other people at risk. You can get a DUI riding a bike, so I assume you can get a DUI riding a scooter. I didn't really research that, but when I used to work at Denny's, we had a cook who rode his bike because he had a DUI from driving a car, so he would ride his bike to work instead. But all of a sudden he stopped riding his bike, and it's because he got a DUI on his bicycle as well.
I would never have thought of that.
Yeah. And so anybody who is enjoying Blackout Wednesday tomorrow, we do encourage you to enjoy the friendships and getting back together with those you haven't seen in a while, but do it safely. Call Uber.
Yeah, I was going to say probably it's sort of more established on New Year's Eve, because you think about that, and I wouldn't necessarily thought, but it makes perfect sense that the Wednesday before Thanksgiving would be another time when people, especially when you're young, you're not necessarily as tuned into how easy it is for things to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think New Year's Eve, you spend a lot of time with family. Thanksgiving, you're going to spend time with family. Blackout Wednesday, I guess, is the day that you get to spend time with friends more than family. I encourage. I think that's a great idea. I wish I knew about it about 40 years ago.
And then I'll tell you the other thing, which this might come up in other contexts, but I don't know if you've seen this, but it's like when I walk my dogs first thing in the morning, it's still dark. There's a young man on Nursery Road who rides, and I don't know is it a scooter? It's not it's like looks like almost like a skateboard, but it's not a skateboard. You know what I'm talking about?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But
down the Nursery Road, down the street.
It's motorized too, right?
It's motorized,
yeah.
And all you could see was just a little red light. That was it. And he was wearing dark clothing, and I thought, wow, boy, that would be so easy to miss.
Yeah, that's dangerous. I mean, I'm all for people riding e-bikes and scooters, and I think they should enjoy that, but they have to be, although you have the same rights when you're driving those or riding those things, you also have responsibilities. And
right. You got to be very aware, because it's just so easy for a person, particularly a driver, not to. I mean, that's what's scary about it to me. Yeah.
Right. And they still have to follow all the traffic, the rules. Even if you're on one of those scooters, you got to follow the traffic rules.
And you can't assume, and I think this is, many people will think, okay, right, I am doing that. Like this young man, I mean, I think he probably would have the right to be on the road like he was. But the problem, and I'm not saying not to do that, although I would say the sidewalk would be better for something like that, but the problem is you cannot assume that other people are going to actually be paying sufficient attention. I mean, just have to kind of look for what could go wrong.
Right. In fact, we just signed up a client who was on an e-bike, who was on the sidewalk. He was approaching the intersection.
Oh, right.
The driver was coming out of I think it was a
side street or
strip,
something.
yeah, side street or a strip center or something. He looked at her. She looked at him. He thought that they made
understood.
contact.
Right.
So he started to proceed going, which he had the right to do. He had the right of way. And right when he was right in front of her car, she begins her turn.
Wow.
And she ends up hitting him, knocking him down to the ground. It's just so important that drivers of cars need to watch out for e-bikes and scooters, but scooters and e-bike riders also need to do what they can. Now, this client did everything he could.
He really
He thought
did.
it was safe,
Yeah.
and he made contact. And whenever I see bicyclists or pedestrians do that, I always like that because it's
Yes.
like, okay, you and I know we're together.
Right, exactly.
We'll wait till you cross.
Yeah.
So, but he thought he did that, but unfortunately he didn't. So. He got hurt, and we have to help him get his medical bills paid and lost wages and other damages that he's entitled to. So that is Blackout Wednesday. If you have Blackout Wednesday stories you want to tell us about, please give us a call. Again, this
We won't tell anybody.
Yeah, you can use a different name. This is FLALAW on the radio. This is live right now on Tuesday from 5 until 6. If you're listening to it after that time, you're probably listening to it on one of the podcasts because each show is uploaded to your favorite podcast platform, so you can't miss an episode of FLALAW on the radio. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts, it's on Google YouTube Podcasts, and other podcasts as well. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but just type in FLALAW on the radio on your favorite podcast, and you'll be certain to find us and all the prior episodes as well. We do have about 8 more minutes before our
Whoa.
Thanksgiving trivia quiz. But let's talk a little bit about Thanksgiving because there are a lot of drivers trying to get to their Thanksgiving place,
Right.
especially now. I think this afternoon or this evening is the busiest time for the roads. And with a lot of drivers, and Thanksgiving comes a lot of out-of-town visitors. And so, Lorrie, are there particular challenges that happen with out-of-town motorists when they come into Clearwater or Pinellas County, Tampa Bay? That they may not be familiar with the Florida roads. What
Right,
things do we need to look out for when our roads are?
Yeah, and we
Filling
talk
up.
about this really anytime there's a holiday. We actually, we're Florida, and it's many people vacation here. We're such a popular tourist area. So you add family coming in to visit from out of town, and just regular people coming in to enjoy time, perhaps on Clearwater Beach or one
Sure.
of the beaches, that sort of thing. So part of what's so important, we've been doing auto accident cases so long, is just you've got to really be especially mindful, obviously at all times, but particularly in times when you are more likely to encounter people that are not familiar with the roads, because and are distracted. I mean, actually, it's so darn easy to be distracted.
They got beautiful scenery
Right.
to be distracted. The streets do come up on you pretty
Right?
quickly.
And people trying to figure out where they're supposed to turn, and so it really, it's always true. I remember when I first learned to drive, my father drilled into me, defensive driving and looking for where you could go if somebody, pulled into your lane or something. But it's always important to keep in mind your business is thinking about the road and what you're doing and what's happening around you. And again, like we were saying earlier, I think the biggest thing is just you can't assume that other people are going to be doing what they should be doing.
Right.
We'd
That's
like
exactly
to be,
right.
and it's but the reality is, and they will be held accountable. Okay, if the person does something negligent because they aren't paying attention, if you come to us, we're going to see that they're held accountable. But you'd like to avoid that situation if possible. I mean, you can't
Certainly.
avoid all of them, but so it just means that you've just got to be especially mindful, stopping distances, cars behind you. Often people will talk about rear-end collision type situations, and almost always if you're rear-ended, it's going to be the person that rear-ended you's their fault. But there can be situations where, you have to come to a sudden stop, or somebody in front of you has to come to a sudden stop. We're supposed to be noticing that,
Right.
looking ahead and realizing that what the traffic situation is.
Right. I think one of our first trials was a rear end collision up on, I think it was in Pasco. It had to be in Pasco County because we were in Pasco County Courthouse, and it happened on US 19, and it was a rear end collision, and there's a presumption of negligence. But he raised an argument, and the court was accepting the argument, was that people need to understand that on US 19, at certain times of the day, it's going to be stop and go, and so you need to be alert. And so that presumption of negligence can be overcome with arguments about that. But I don't know about you, Lorrie, but me, I can find myself that sometimes, because I go from home to work, work to home, you can become automatically, on autopilot.
Right.
And it's like,
yeah, I think most people have had that experience.
And it's like, oh, how did I get here?
Right. Right.
But especially when the roads are being more congested, whether it's the snowbirds or whether it's the people visiting for Thanksgiving, you got to be mindful not to
And
be
things
that.
like, and I think that case involved, I don't remember exactly how, but I think there wasn't a car pulled into a median as well, kind of sticking out a little bit.
Yeah, he was sticking out in that median.
Right. And so those are the kind of things like, actually, as I was pulling out to come here, on Belcher, where we pull out, I never want to be stuck in the median. I hate that.
No, I never did.
And the car pulled out, and I thought they were going, but they didn't. They stopped, and I pulled out, and I was right next to them. And it's like, that's a situation you can never assume. And I shouldn't have assumed it. Thank goodness everything was fine. But just, because of what we do, it's kind of always sort of an examination of conscience.
That's right.
It's like, how could we do better,
Yeah, my son always turns right out of our parking lot.
Yes.
He never, although we live south, he'll always turn to the north and go the long way.
Now, we know if you're very patient, eventually it does clear.
Right.
But you have to be very patient.
Yeah, you got to be very
patient. And he's
patient.
only 19. So.
That's right. Some other things that we should consider when we're talking about the out-of-town guest is that they come from other states, and other states have mandatory BI coverage, or bodily injury liability coverage. How is that different than in Florida?
Right. One thing people don't realize is how each state has related to things like insurance. And so in Florida, we have our system that we talk about all the time with the personal injury protection. Other states, quite a few other states, I think, do actually have a stronger bodily injury liability protection.
Right.
We don't really have that, which was, we talk about the reason to have uninsured motorist coverage all the time, because you really don't have to have that kind of the coverage that you're protected if somebody causes damage. That person has to have that if they were negligent, we'll step into their shoes and we'll pay your damages. So other states do have different coverage situations, and sometimes they're a little bit better than our coverage. But the reality is, those things become important if there's an accident. Then it's kind of complicated, actually.
It really
and so
is.
It becomes kind of a legal issue. That's one of the major reasons to have legal counsel, because what we do is research and see, what are the insurance coverages that might be applicable to a given situation.
Right. To know that if you are injured in a car accident caused by an out-of-state driver, their auto policy still covers them, even though they're not in their home state.
Right. So presuming that they have a policy, and most times they do. As I said, many times we find those policies are, maybe a little better sometimes than ours. But that's what the insurance system. We don't like insurance in one way because the companies can be very difficult to deal with. But on the other hand, it is what allows for the recovery of damages when you're injured in most instances.
Right. And another thing for out-of-town guests is that they may be driving rental cars.
That is
and
very
rental
true.
cars come into play when an operator of a rental car causes a crash.
Yes.
How is that?
And that is the law changed quite a few years ago now, so that you're going to be dependent on whatever personal coverage that driver has, and if they don't have it,
then they don't have it.
They don't have
so
it.
the rental car can take money from a driver and still not be responsible for the negligence that their driver may have.
And it's seems wrong. I mean, obviously, in the normal situation, if you loan your car to somebody and they drive it, the cars are considered dangerous instrumentalities. And if they are negligent, then you are, as the owner, responsible, and your insurance would be responsible. So that used to apply across the board. And then there was a change in the law to protect the large rental companies. And they had their arguments for it. But the bottom line, as a person, if you're in an accident in which the driver at fault was driving a rental car, that can be problematic. Yeah.
That's right. That's why uninsured motorists is so important. It didn't take us that long to talk about uninsured motorists as it did last week, but it is so important. So uninsured motorists, make sure you check that on your policy because you need to have that in order to protect yourself should you be injured or a family member be injured in a crash caused by someone who's maybe driving a rental car or somebody who's not carrying any bodily injury liability coverage.
Here we're at a place where obviously, lots of people are going to have rental cars because we're a tourist
Exactly
haven,
true.
So that's a big issue.
All right, listeners, it's time. Get your pen and paper ready. Ed, get Google out because I know you can jump on Google over on the other side of the glass. But it is now time for the FLALAW on the radio Thanksgiving trivia. So let's see how many questions we can get right. All right, Lorrie. In what year did the first Thanksgiving feast take place in Plymouth, Massachusetts?
I think it was 1620, but I'm not positive.
Ed?
I have no idea.
Stick with the smart one. She's close.
Was it 1621?
1621.
What? All right.
Yeah, 1621. And it lasted for 3 days.
Oh.
Yes, it lasted for 3 days.
So they didn't have Blackout Wednesday. They had like 3 days of festivity.
That's right. There was 53 pilgrim and 90 Indians.
Ah.
Which leads me right to the next question that we kind of hinted to last week. What Native American tribe celebrated the first Thanksgiving with the Pilgrims?
It starts like with a W, doesn't it?
It does.
Wampong or something like that. I don't know how you pronounce it, though.
Ed, you agree with Lorrie?
Yeah, sure.
I don't blame you. I was hoping she knew how to pronounce it so I didn't have to. But it's Wampanoag. The Wampanoag tribe helped the Pilgrims survive their first winter by teaching them how to plant corn and catch fish. It wasn't turkey. It was fish that they taught them how to do that.
Right.
So, Lorrie, you're pretty good. 2 for 2. Or one and 3/4 for 2. That's pretty good. True or false? More Americans travel for Thanksgiving than they do for Christmas.
I'm going to guess true.
True.
True. You're right. According to travel surveys, over 55 million Americans travel at least 50 miles for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's a really nice statement because obviously that's going to family or close friends.
And it's cheaper to see your relatives on Thanksgiving. Because you don't have to bring a gift. It's not Christmas.
Very good.
That's
Good
right.
point.
That's right. Although I did see a study. I saw a study, and I want your input on that too, and yours, Lorrie. People that host the Thanksgiving event dinner, they were talking about is it rude to charge a cover charge to Aunt Sue if she comes over and says, okay, Aunt Sue, you really don't eat that much. You only have $5, but Uncle Ed, come on, Uncle Ed, you gotta cough up $15.
Well, maybe with inflation we should,
maybe.
right? I don't know.
Right.
The only rules we had is if you drink it, bring it.
That's a good rule to have. All right. So we're pretty good so far, 3 for 3. Which U.S. president officially declared Thanksgiving a national holiday to be celebrated on the last Thursday of November?
Dun, 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 dun,
That's
dun,
right.
dun, dun.
As we know, it's not the last Thursday of November anymore. So which is the president who initially declared it?
The first president
Which U.S. president officially declared Thanksgiving a national holiday to be celebrated on the last Thursday of November?
Golly, I should know that. Yeah.
It's a hard one. I didn't think it went this far back.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't know whether George Washington. I don't know if it.
Yeah, not that
Not
far
that
back.
far back,
But the next big one.
Lincoln?
Yeah, it was
Lincoln?
Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, so maybe to bring people together, probably.
Yeah, during the
and to
Civil-
be thankful
Yeah.
because, of course, the Civil War. All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So it was Abraham Lincoln was the U.S. president to declare Thanksgiving as a national holiday, which leads me to the next question.
Uh-huh.
Which president moved Thanksgiving from the last Thursday to the fourth Thursday? So it's not always the last Thursday anymore.
Come on, Ed.
And
That was Roosevelt. I don't know.
I'm gonna go with, it was something in that period, I think. I don't know if it was him, but it might have been.
now, if I was Alex Trebek, I would say be more specific because
Was it Teddy or
right, it was FDR.
But
It
it-
was Franklin Roosevelt. He did this in 1939 to extend the holiday shopping season
Okay.
during the Great Depression.
Right, that would make sense. All right, I can
So-
remember that now next time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I like this question. I didn't know the answer to this question, but I like this question. Black Friday. We all know that Black Friday is known for the busiest shopping day of the year. We know one reason it's called that is because stores go from being in the red to in the black, meaning they made a profit. What is another reason it is called Black Friday? And actually, I think it's the original reason it's called Black Friday. I did not know this one, and I thought it was very interesting.
Did it come out of the Depression or something?
Nope. It came out of Philadelphia.
Oh, really? Oh. No, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, no, the term originated in Philadelphia where police used it to describe chaotic traffic and crowds after Thanksgiving.
So they just called it Black Friday
Yeah,
because it
it's
was
a
so
code.
chaotic.
It was
Yeah.
police code.
Oh, wow.
Black Friday was because of the chaotic traffic and crowds.
You mean they didn't have their sales in October and November back then?
Has less meaning now because it's
I
kind
know.
of constantly Black Friday, like Amazon, you know.
I was saying, remember the old days when the mall would close on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, I think it was, and then they would be closed, and they didn't decorate until Wednesday night,
That's right.
Yeah.
and then they opened Friday.
That's right.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
people would line up. Does that still happen at all now? Not too much. I don't.
Not that often.
Yeah.
I still try to go Black Friday shopping at 5 a.m.
Uh-huh.
My family used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
But now some of the stores don't even open at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
anymore, and you can get all the specials on Tuesday or on Monday,
Yeah.
you know, or online, so you don't even have to do anything. So Black Friday originally was because the Philadelphia police had that as their code word for chaotic
interesting.
traffic and crowds. So that was interesting. Now, testing your memory from last week. Any of our listeners who may have listened last week may know this answer too. Which NFL team has played on every Thanksgiving day since 1934? Ed, you know that answer, so I'll let Lorrie answer first.
Say it again now.
Which NFL team has played on every Thanksgiving since 1934?
So is it Detroit?
The Lions.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. I learned that last week, I think.
That's right.
Because I would not have known that one at all.
Yeah, I didn't know. I knew they played regularly on Thanksgiving, but I don't know
not
they played
every
every Thanksgiving
Thanksgiving.
since 1934.
Wow. Yeah.
That is amazing. All right, one last one again, going back to last week maybe. In what year was green bean casserole invented?
Green bean casserole came up last year.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I mean, last week, but I don't know what the year was.
In what year did green bean casserole invent? I know Ed's just licking his chops. He can't wait to get that with the cream of mushroom.
1951. I don't know.
Close.
Oh, yeah?
Let's go. The Price is Right. 1952.
It was the year that Perrin Caulfield,
gosh, I should
Averill,
do- oh,
Illinois was also created, so
Well,
to speak, or invented. So it was
1955.
Something else was invented or created in 1955 as well, but we
bean
won't say.
casserole.
But it was green bean casserole. Who invented it? That was the question from last year. I mean, last week.
Right.
Yeah.
because it was like, because we were talking about what were the common food ingredients or elements, what dishes were actually served. And certain things are more recent.
Green bean casserole was invented by the Campbell Soup Company.
Okay.
That's why we had the cream of mushroom soup and all that stuff. So, Lorrie, you did pretty good. And you did pretty good, too.
Yeah, now that you said that, I think I better add green bean casserole to my Thanksgiving meal that I'm providing.
That's right. That's right. Well, that was Thanksgiving trivia. And so I hope you listeners were able to either know all the answers or gain a little bit more information or something that you can use over your Thanksgiving table on Thursday. So... But Lorrie, let's jump back. This is a live legal call-in talk show.
That is true.
And so let's go back to talking about Black Friday. Because Black Friday, well, before we do Black Friday, because I still wanted to talk about the importance of driving, because there's so much driving going on. We just found out 55 million people are travel.
All right.
They don't all drive, but a big majority of them do.
Probably do.
And part of the problem that with driving is what we've seen is driving while drowsy. It happens way too often, especially when people are trying to get to their destination.
Sure.
My brother came down from Virginia to help out in our Thanksgiving project that we do the weekend before Thanksgiving each time. And he drove, and every single time he drives down, it's Savannah, Georgia, is what causes him to be stuck in traffic. And he says he sits there for an hour or an hour and a half just in traffic, and it just makes you tired just sitting in traffic. And Atlanta is a whole nother monster in itself. But driving while drowsy is dangerous, because studies show that in 2023 there were 633 deaths caused by drowsy driving crashes.
And I think any of us can actually imagine, because probably most of us have, for one reason or another, been tired, and you're like, oh man,
And studies also show that holiday driving, including Thanksgiving, is 13.9% more dangerous than non-holiday driving.
Because we've all heard, I don't know what it is in turkey, like tryptophan or something like that. I happen to like turkey, but apparently it makes you drowsy.
That's true. That's my wife always says that too. And everyone's like, no, that's not true, but it is true.
I think it is true. I've heard that many
there's something
times
that causes it to be drowsy. What people may not appreciate is that while alcohol impaired driving gets a lot of the attention, drowsy driving can impair the reactions just as much as being drunk.
I'm sure.
And I don't think people appreciate that, and saying they try to rough it out, they try to toughen it out and try to just get there, but they're putting themselves and others on the road at risk, just like a drunk driver is putting themselves at risk.
And it's the kind of thing, we basically live, eat, breathe, sleep what happens in auto accidents. So you just really don't think about these things outside of that context. And like you say, people want to get to their destination, and it's easy to understand pushing yourself, but this goes back to that mindfulness idea that really is so important, that you make sure that you actually are well rested, that you don't push yourself, or you have rotation. And I think a lot of people do that.
And that's exactly. I mean, there's ways to avoid drowsy driving, and one of it is the rotation. It is just make sure you switch off. They say stop every 2 hours or 100 miles. My wife would like that idea. I'm not a big fan of stopping.
I think I could push 3 to 4 hours. I think that'd be kind of my limit, though.
I mean, but I guess at night, if you're driving at night, it may be more. It would probably be shorter.
Yes.
But during the day, I like to go 3 to 4 hours driving. But interesting, studies have shown that a cup of coffee or an energy drink, they say, we're just going to drink a whole bunch of coffee. Doesn't really help. It helps for about 30 to 60 minutes, but then it wears off.
Yeah, that's interesting, because a lot of people will swear by that.
Or turning up the radio or opening the window. Studies have shown that doesn't help at all. It may be just for that moment, but it doesn't help.
I mean, it's an effort to try, but if you're actually having to do that to try to convince yourself.
Pull over.
Exactly. It's like,
No, that's exactly true. So
find a Buc-ee's
Oh, yes, amen. Find a Buc-ee's. If you can find a Buc-ee's and pull over there, well, then you'll have to eat the turkey sandwich and the jerky and all that, and then you will have to pull over because your stomach is full and happy.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
But yeah, so it's very important. I have 10 brothers and sisters, and so I know the importance of family. And Lorrie, you too you have a brother, and you understand the importance of family as well. But it's important to get to family safely. Your family wants you to get there safely, so don't push it, don't risk it. We represent a lot of good people who get hurt because good people are negligent.
Right, and again, like kind of going back to what we began talking about, of course, one of the major things is you may be fine, but you have to take into account that there are other drivers on the road pushing themselves.
Right.
And they're not fine. You
right.
know? And so you've got to really do more to keep the stopping distance between your vehicle and the vehicle ahead of you, to be paying attention to what might go wrong.
Exactly.
Really have to kind of be looking for the problems in advance. And that's not how we like to think.
No, especially that. And if you're my wife and I'm driving, she's looking at everything in advance, thinking there's going to be an accident going to happen.
Watch out for that.
Watch out for that. Watch out for this. Oh, why are you speeding and all that?
And then, it continues to amaze me that when it's dark, and even worse when it's raining, people will drive like bats out of Hades.
It drives me crazy the way that people drive. And they cut in and out, and on slick interstate roads, you're driving way past the speed limit, cutting people off in the rain.
And most times everything is fine, but there are those tragedies when something happens, you lose control, or somebody else loses control.
Right.
And of course, unfortunately, we see that. So it's real to us. But I don't know. If anybody listening, if that can be you, because it can be any of us. We're in a hurry or whatever, and but it's so risky. Yeah.
No, we represented a family who was coming down from Ohio to go to Disney for, I think it was Christmas, not Thanksgiving, but they were coming down, and in Georgia, somebody fell asleep. I think they fell asleep, but they weren't paying attention. But I think they fell asleep and smashed into the rear of their minivan. Well, they had 3 young kids, the youngest being 2 years old, in the car. The car flipped over, and mom and dad and the 3 kids were injured, and all because somebody, probably not a bad person. We never knew that person, but not a bad person, but pushed it or wasn't paying attention, causing to crash.
Yeah. So.
And no fault of their own. They suffered. They still came down, but because they're coming down to see their family. But they couldn't. Their whole life they're changed.
Right, and just that
right,
instant.
right in that instant. So it's sad. So it's so important that if you're drowsy, be careful, pull over, rest, and they say actually, you should take a 20-minute rest.
That's
if you take more than 20 minutes, you may be more tired.
So that power nap that I've kind of heard of.
The 20-minute nap, I guess is really what it is. Yeah.
I used to have a professor back when it was St. Pete Junior College. I can't remember who it was, but he would do that in his office. He'd take a power nap, and he talked about it.
I had a professor. I did that in his class. No.
No. But that's kind of a good thing to know, because actually, if say you're really having trouble, you're kind of nodding off, pull over, get someplace safe like that Buc-ee's or whatever, and then set your phone.
You don't need to rest for 2 hours.
Just restore yourself. If you can restore yourself in 20 minutes, a little bit, that's kind of encouraging, actually.
Yeah. So on your way to Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving, please drive safely, and as Lorrie say, watch out for those who don't, because you could be the safest driver in the world and still get severely injured because somebody else wasn't.
Right.
And so it's so important. But I wanted to also talk about, well, let me first invite other listeners. If you are listening, you have questions regarding car accidents, driving while drowsy, even the Blackout Wednesday, I had to look to see what it was called, Blackout Wednesday. This is time to call us. We got about 10 more minutes. Or if you just want to call to voice what you're thankful for, too, we welcome that as well. Our number is 727-441-3000. And we'd be happy to put you on the air to answer your questions that you have. I am Matthew Noyce. That's Lorrie Robinson. We are two attorneys at the law firm of Pernick, Caulfield, Averill, and Noyce, the proud sponsors and presenters of FLALAW on the radio. We are here to help you, guide you through the maze, whether it's in the courtroom or whether it's outside the courtroom on the roads. And so it's important to us. We really care about our clients and our community. And so we are here to help you, not just after a crash, but really to prevent a crash.
Right. That's the purpose of this kind of discussion. And some of it can, in a way, maybe seem, I don't know, I mean, how much people actually think about it, but so maybe it can seem sort of generic, but the truth of the matter is, anything we can say to cause you as a listener, a driver, which is most of us, obviously, to just make a decision to be a little bit more tuned in, then, it's those little things can make all the difference in the world.
Right.
And then you just get to listen to us. You don't have to come see us.
That's right. But I want to shift a little bit over because Black Friday is coming, and although most Black Friday shopping is now done by your fingers, there are still a lot of people that go to the stores and go through the parking lots to go shopping, and parking lots can get quite hectic.
That's part of the reason why a lot of us don't go on Black Friday, because of those parking lots.
Right. And parking lot accidents happen.
All the time.
All the time. And so, Lorrie, could you just kind of tell our listeners, what are the common accidents that happen in parking lots and the difficulty of parking lot accidents?
Yeah, so I think the main thing is, first off, get it in your skull that accidents can happen in a parking lot, because I think, in first place, people are there at the store or whatever, or the mall. So the most common one probably is people backing out into each other, I would say, probably. But I had one some years ago with a dear friend of mine, and what much he was going to be able to do about that. He was sitting in the passenger seat. His wife had gone into the grocery store or something, and a lady was parked in front of him, and they were probably both in the handicapped areas, probably. And the woman that was parked in the space in front of his vehicle was older, and she got addled and confused, and she hit the accelerator and went right up over his bumper, the front bumper of the car. And here you are. It was a pretty significant accident, and you don't expect that, obviously in a parking lot. Now, in that situation, there wasn't frankly anything he could have done, in that scenario. But I would say the other things, constant, like you're driving in front of the grocery store, Sam's, the department store, at the mall.
Right.
You've got people walking all over the place, trying to get in between cars and not really paying too much attention. There's so many scenarios.
Right. I could think of at least two of our cases. One where it was a pedestrian who was just walking to her car, and somebody wasn't paying attention and knocked her down to the ground and injured her. And sadly, there was another one where it was worse. They clearly wasn't paying attention. The driver wasn't paying attention as she was walking, and he struck her, and she ended up passing away because she got hit in the parking lot. And all she was trying to do was I think it was at a grocery store. All she was trying to do was do her shopping. Right. And, she went to the store thinking she was going to come home with dinner. And sadly, the family lost her. Right. And so it's so sad, so important that especially always, but in parking lots, we sometimes let our guard down, and we can't.
And I was going to say, actually, and then we're talking about auto accidents now, but we have quite a number of cases over the years that are trip and fall type accidents, because in a parking lot, it's unfortunately fairly common for the parking lot itself, the pavement not to be well maintained,
right.
or there are any number of things that can happen that just a moment's lack of attention and you're down on the ground, or you've fallen into a hole or something like that. And now it may well be that there's negligence on the part of the owner of the establishment,
right.
And we handle those kind of things all the time. But again, with a lot going on, cars going back and forth, it's very easy to lose one's attention, and that's so critical because it actually is a place that I would say, surprisingly, we have a surprising number of accidents that will come out of.
And
a
sometimes
parking lot.
people think, oh, it's just a parking lot accident, so they weren't going too fast, and so how can anybody be hurt?
Yeah, I
The
mean,
speed of the vehicles don't always correlate
Right,
with
I
the
mean,
amount of the damages.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than you don't want to be in a high-speed collision, obviously, but you can be. I mean, motor vehicles are massive, and so if they are traveling at any speed and make contact with you, particularly if you're not in the vehicle, but even if you're in another vehicle, we've seen it all the time where something that on the surface you would think would hopefully not be too much, but depending on the individual, their particular pre-existing medical history. I mean, obviously, if you're a person that's had some issues before and you get whacked in a parking lot, you may have more problems than somebody that didn't. And the law
Right.
takes that into account. I mean, obviously, if it wasn't your fault,
Right. I did want to mention something about parking lots. Typically, the law does say that if you're involved in a car accident, you're supposed to move your vehicles off the road to prevent an accident. And that may apply to parking lots as well, but I would be hesitant to do that. If I was involved in a parking lot accident, I would want to leave my car where it's at the time of impact, especially if it's a backing out of two
Right.
parking lots. And the reason why I would do that is because I like to make sure that there's photos taken of where the cars were at the time of impact.
Yes, because that's always going to be a matter of dispute because chances are the person that backed into you doesn't perceive it that way.
Right. And because of comparative negligence
Yeah.
now, the law has changed it with comparative negligence, that it could result in no case
Right.
if you can't establish
And so if you're in a
negligence.
situation, which I know, we talk about this quite a bit, but it is important to document, which with our phones today, that's very easy to do.
Easy to do.
So I think you're right, like in a parking lot setting, if there's really, if it's a significant accident at all, and, sometimes you don't really know, in terms of how you may be affected. So if you're in an accident, take some photos right there, right on the spot, so there's no question about where the cars were, if there is a need to pursue a claim.
And one of the other things, take photos of where the property damage on your vehicle is, because that can tell a lot about how the accident
Yes.
happened. We're actively litigating a parking lot case right now where the woman says we backed into each other, and our client's like, no, I backed out. I was already made my turn to go forward, and that's when she hit me on the side of my car. There's no way, and so we had the
Right.
photos of the property damage. So there's no way her version could be true based on the photos of the property damage. So photos are so important
Very, very
as well.
Right.
So Lorrie, we are about to wrap up.
my
We have
goodness.
a little bit. I know it's happened so fast. I wanted to give you an opportunity to voice what you're thankful for, since I already jumped in and voiced what I was thankful for.
Oh,
So-
well, as I said, I'm thankful for the great country we live in. I'm thankful for my family, probably of all things for faith, because with all the problems we go through, and I just, you see, particularly going through accidents, what people go through, it's very nice to have a connection to God,
Yes.
obviously, But no, I wake up every day thankful.
Yeah, and I think it's important too to be thankful for even the chaos. Our busy schedules, our active lives, because so many people are lonely and depressed, and they don't have family to go to. They don't have
Yes,
things to
it
do.
can be a very difficult
So we
time
need to
for
be thankful for the chaos as well. We are thankful to all our listeners of FLALAW on the radio. Jacqueline Bryant will be back next Tuesday for the month of December, but this Saturday, a little plug for the home team with Paul Porter, because myself and my son Jacob will be guest co-host with him as well. So we welcome you to keep listening to FLALAW on the radio. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving season. Drive safely and watch out for those who don't. Take care.